Good morning. Happy Monday. Linda, hello. Ash, Rosa, Julie, Jeremiah, hello, friends. We survived. We made it. So much snow here. So much snow. It's crazy. It's crazy. Hey, Rachel. So much snow here. We got like a foot of snow. It's wild. Getting a foot of snow in North Carolina is, especially in southern North Carolina. I think they said, you like the Emily Gross video? Thank you, Rosa. I always, it's always a blast getting to hang out with her. So it's always fun. Hey, Powder. Are my pipes okay? Oh, this is, so yes, my pipes are okay. We've been waking up every 2 hours to make sure they don't freeze. But yes, yeah. That's been the one positive about spending all of that money to replace all the pipes. We have brand new pipes. I heard Florida was in the 30s this weekend. Yeah, it was pretty cold everywhere in the southeast. Oh. Whew. How was everyone's weekend? We freezing down here in Miami. Yeah. People in the South don't like cold too much. Hey, Garpu. Pardon the pun. None of that surprises me. Hey, Tanya. I'm near Portland, Oregon. I would like some of your snow. I would like 1 or 2 snow days this year. Thanks. You know what? I would gladly give you some of our snow. It was great to see it in the sense of it was great to see it in the sense of living down here. This is the first snowfall we've really seen, and probably like real snowfall since since like when we first moved here. But shoveling it was not fun. Mostly because we don't have a snow shovel. Mostly because we've never really needed to shovel. So that was great. Shoveling snow with a dirt shovel. I saw people I saw people using leaf blowers to get the snow off of their driveway. Which, by the way, is hilarious. Just saying. We usually have 2 or 3 inches by now. Yeah, it's been a weird winter. That's for sure. Good morning, Silver. It's been a really weird winter. But you know, some good things have happened. It's been morning, Susie. Some pretty good things have happened over the weekend. Some bad things too. Obviously, inflation, finding out inflation has gone up. Oh, 2 to 3 feet. Yeah, I can read them. I am so tired. We've been getting up every 2 hours to make sure to run our water and make sure things haven't frozen for the last 2 days. So, my Eugen's bargaining team today. We start bargaining. Ooh, good luck. Hey, Eleanor. Good morning. That seat, that state Senate seat in Texas that flipped, that was really good. That was really good. That was freaking amazing. Inflation going up, bad. Not good. You got flurries in Florida? Man, was everyone freaking out? People were excited. Yeah. You could tell some people that lived around here like never, like rarely ever experienced snow because they were like sledding down their driveways and stuff like that during, I think it was the first storm, which was more ice than snow. Where we're just like, well, I'll watch it until it's done and then I'll go out and shovel it. My mom had to cover all her poor fruit trees. Yeah, that is definitely the one horrible thing about the weather, that this kind of weather in the South. A friend is moving out of Florida and she thought she could avoid the cold by going to North Carolina. I had to inform her that it wasn't going to be much of an escape considering the frozen pipes. I mean, right now, yeah, for sure. Now, to be fair, at least in general, we'll see if it sticks or if it sticks like this. In general, at least where I live, we basically consider the last half of January through the first half of February to be the quote unquote danger zone. That's the time period where we are most likely to get snow and ice and things like that. Usually once you get past that, it can still happen, but it's pretty rare. I think I lost my bananas and papaya trees. No. I'm sorry, Laura. That sucks. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are frozen. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are frozen. I had to remember how the song went. I don't know what song I was saying, but that wasn't it. I started getting it the first time by the end. That's what made me realize I was singing the wrong song. One year, the only guy who closes the base home for Christmas and it stayed open normal time with 6 inches of snow. 2 weeks later, it was closed 2.5 days for a 1/4 inch of snow and threats of ice. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was pretty crazy here. Luckily, the roads at least seem to be somewhat clearing, but there's video everywhere. The amount of people that still went out around Charlotte and got stuck in the snow was wild. Like, there's just so much video of just like our major highways just in full stop. And I was like, guys, it's snow in a state that doesn't know how to deal with snow. You don't go out unless it's literally life and death. Laundry baskets for sledding. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Definitely seen that before. 100%. Now I've got Oh Danny Boy stuck in my head. So weird when it comes to music. Sorry, not sorry. That's all right. Morning, Jose. How are you doing? But yeah, the inflation up stuff, I'm also not surprised Schumer is in the files. I'm not surprised. We talked about this. I'm not surprised anybody is in the files. Rich, it really shows that the rich and powerful live in a different world. And we always knew it. But there's a reason that it shouldn't be people with this kind of wealth, in my opinion. Because it breeds this. Morning, Angel. Brain is not braining today. You're good, Ash. You're good. No, we were at St. Bart's at the time. Yeah. Yes, it was. The other thing that's funny is that Trump's trying to claim that this release exonerates him from anything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We have testimony of what people said you did. Straight up testimony. Not sure what you think you're being exonerated for, but don't think it's what you think it is. The real question is are we the people going to hold all of everyone that was on there accountable? That's really the key. And unfortunately, there are still too many people that are, at least when it comes to the president of the United States, that are defending him completely and utterly. And it's rather disgusting. That they put out and then retracted. Yep. Hey, Philip. Good morning. Legally, Silver, I don't expect anything to happen to them, unfortunately. But I don't care about legally at this point. I care about societally. I care about us and what we're willing to do as a society. And you might be right about that when it comes to society too. Because again, for some people, money is more important than anything. What's funny is they thought nothing was in these released files. Yeah. 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 It's wild. No, just like not supporting their stuff, like not supporting them. Not spending money on them. Not listening to them. Not letting them get away with other things that they're doing. My favorite thing that happened was Trump endorsed Obama one day and when he was asked about the Texas elections, I don't know anything about it. Because he probably doesn't know anything about it, Philip. Hey, Maureen. If we're being honest, he probably doesn't know anything about it. He probably didn't write those endorsement tweets. He was just told to endorse people. He probably has no idea who you're talking about. That's the reality. He probably has literally no idea who anybody is talking about because he's a friggin' he's friggin'. We'll just leave it at that. He's friggin'. By the way, hey, Scott. Apparently the guy who did the Melania movie was also in the files. Yep. Saw that. Saw the picture. No telling how many people are writing his tweets. Yeah. I'm sure he's writing some of them. Oh, I'm sure he's writing some of them. You can tell which one he writes by how incoherent they sound. The more incoherent they are, the more likely that it is that he wrote them. Morning, Summer. Bam. It's like he didn't know what P25 is because he knew it as a different name. So I think maybe. Yeah, he ain't writing those ones. Did you see he wants to sue Trevor Noah because he made a joke about... I'm shocker. Call me shocked. Am I properly snowed in? Snowed in? No, we're not snowed in. We did get a lot of snow, but most of it was actually pretty light. I shoveled yesterday. People are back. A lot of people are already heading back to work. If I wanted to see a movie about marrying a rich guy, I'd watch Pretty Woman. Fair. It's fair. I remember when Kamala couldn't even use text for family. Yeah, because she actually cared about the law. Imagine caring about the law. Right? Imagine. Imagine. Is this the biggest scandal in the history of the world? Biggest scandal? I think when we look back in history, it'll probably be one of the biggest ones. Sure. I wish it were looked at that way right now. They'll try and top it. Also true. They don't know meaning of the word law. Also true. If only would have known that Kamala would have been different. Am I right? Yeah, if only we would have known. If only somebody would have been saying out loud again and again and again and again how much better Kamala would have been than this administration. If only. If only. If only. Now I got the song Pretty Woman in my head. Jeez. Songs too easily get in my head. That's what angers me most. We told them over and over and over again. Oh, I know. It is one of the most frustrating things for me too, Jose. It is one of the most frustrating things for me too. People can't say they were not warned. No, and what's crazy is the people that need to realize it are the ones that are right now jumping through every hoop to try and pretend that things are still good. I mean, yes, Silver, that is definitely part of the problem. I would argue that it's not just that. It's also how people in this country view view society, view their place in society. I think there's a lot that it shows, but Latin women for Trump is in the news again, regretting her vote. Honestly, no sympathy. Yeah. My brother-in-law and his wife went to see Melania movie yesterday. Their friends commented on the Facebook post, said how good it was and that it was sold out where they saw it. Hey, Clara. Turned a blind eye because it was so long ago and he's changed because he's a Christian. I saw a video of someone actually saying he was a Jewish president. By the way, he is not Jewish in any way, shape, or form. Hey, Kat. Yes. Yes, Summer. I couldn't believe I had to watch it again and then do some Google searching to make sure I was wrong because I heard him saying it and I was like, he's not Jewish. He said he will only get into heaven if he buys away. Ah, yes. Buying your way into heaven. If he's a Christian, then I'm a 6-foot woman in the NBA. And how about Nicki Minaj's gold card being a souvenir and not real? Shocker. Did you see Trevor Noah getting on Nicki? Yes, happy Black History Month. Absolutely. Actually, let's make that change here. Everyone knows this administration is incompetent. We can change that. Random thing, my childhood best friend was one of the leads in the Trump film that was released during his first term. Instant icks for a 30+ year long friendship despite our history together. I don't think heaven works that way, no matter the religion. I mean, that's the whole Martin Luther thing, that you could basically buy your way into heaven. It is how churches made as much money as they did. Unfortunately. Yes, Ash. Yep. Absolutely was. Absolutely, Philip. Yep. 100%. 100%. Good morning, Courtney. How are you? He needs more money. Sure he does. Sure he does. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'll be happy when it's a little less cold, because the houses down here weren't made for cold. Just check the Rotten Tomatoes for the Melania movie. Oh, yeah. Good morning, Justice. Good morning, Grizzly. Guys, make sure if you're popping in over on TikTok, you tap that nose. I'm in South Carolina, and so past look at this cold. Yeah. Not built for it. A lot of snow still on the roads. Yeah. No one can deny it at this point. No one should be able to deny it. But still, they will somehow. Somehow they still find a way. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild. You cut off everyone from your life who do. I honestly can't blame you at this point. I can't imagine anyone would be able to willingly support a man, any person who has been shown to do these things. Was a weekend of hope. This community so strong. Happy Black History Month. Yes, I saw that Trump is spending 2 years to renovate the Kennedy Center, because, you know, let's spend more of our money that way, right? Right? People are struggling to survive, and we're spending money. Okay, Johnny. He doesn't want to be embarrassed by the cancellations. That makes sense. Morning, Kia. It's about the cancellations. Yeah. Pretty much, Powder. Pretty much. Did anyone see Tom Morello in Minnesota? He openly admitted to being an outside agitator. It's not surprising. Getting a bomb E-33. I just have less over there just because I have less space to put it all over there. But 2 of the 3 things are the same. Hey, Patty. They tend to get agitated. Yeah. Do I think the shift is finally here? I think the shift is a process and has always been. I think every day, week, month, you're seeing more and more people at minimum realizing that what MAGA stands for, what this administration stands for, is not okay. I know some people that have not really changed their views, but they're not supporting this administration anymore. But unfortunately, I don't think the shift as a whole is here yet. I think there are still a lot of things that need to be worked out before we can say that a shift fully is here. Think the Trump administration is screwed? Of course they are. Of course they are. I don't know who that is. Now I got to look it up, find out who that is. Find out if I should be hurt or not. Yeah, I don't recognize him. That doesn't make sense. I still support it all, but not Trump. Again, I hear you, which is why I say that a shift, there's more needed before a real shift is happening. We're we're dealing with 2 different realities. Right now, I think a lot of the shift you're seeing in on the right is an emotional shift. Like, it's more like they just realized that he was a bad choice, that this administration is bad, not that they completely disagree with some of the things that this administration stands for as a whole. Kimmy, thanks you for the heart. And Mags and Patty and Clara and Rosa. This administration is the bad. So if they were really cleaning up the bad, they'd be cleaning up themselves. Reminds me of Nixon supporters post Watergate. Hello, chosen one. People are still willing to do whatever they can. No one will be convicted in the files, so it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter who has done some heinous things to children. Did you really say it does not matter if we know who have done heinous things to children? Did you really just say that? I know you can't talk to me, but did you really just say that it doesn't matter? You've been sober for 12-ish years. Congratulations, chosen one. Yes, you absolutely can block that person. 100%. They don't get to keep speaking. Chicken butt? Oh, sorry. What, Candace? Nobody will ever get convicted. Okay. You decided to run? That's awesome. Where? What do you run? What are you running? What position are you running for? Indiana House 64. Candace? Let's get you interviewed when you feel ready. I would love to interview you. I interview House members as much as anybody else. So let's get you interviewed. Let the facts out. We can worry about conviction later. Oh, I understand that. In the end, I understand that. Hey, Missy. Got to do all the paperwork still? Well, when you get done and you're official, let me know. We'll interview. Morning, Dee Dee. If I ran for Congress, kind of want to, it would be as Victoria's neighbor. And again, I think there's two different ways that we can handle this. There is legal, if that's still possible, but also just Victoria 4, Tennessee. Gotcha. There's also just not supporting people that are in it. 3 hours to file? Ugh, that's ridiculous. They never make it easy. Why would they? Why would they? Making it easy sounds like wild. All right. People can come up if they're part of the community. Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good after Saturday, too.
Yeah.
That was one hell of a race in Texas.
Yep.
For those of you who might not know, in Texas District 9, right? Am I correct in that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Donald Trump won it a year ago by 17.4%. The Democrat just won on Saturday by 15.4%. And for those of you keeping score at home, that is a flip of 31.8%. That is earth pounding. And we discussed a little bit last night, turnout, stuff like that. Who cares? It's earth pounding. It's absolutely earth pounding. Now, what's important about this are a few things. Number one, I know what people are thinking. It's just a state Senate race. It doesn't mean much. Texas is a little bit different than other states, folks. Texas only has 31 districts. So a Texas Senate race has more people than a U.S. Congress race. In fact, each Texas district, is about 200,000 more than a congressional district. There's about 950,000 people in each district. Secondly, the Republicans outspent the Democrats in this district 10-1.
Yep. That was the huge thing.
Yeah. In addition, Donald Trump went out on a limb, endorsed, tweeted out the night before trying to get the troops out. They didn't show up. That has ramifications. Now, this was a runoff. What I found very interesting is that in the regular election, if you added up the Republican votes and the Democratic votes, the Republicans beat them by 6%. Now, even that would have been a tremendous victory. But in the runoff, the Democrat won by 15.4%. In the runoff alone, they picked up 21.5 points. Now, why is that important for Texas itself? Because it has Texas implications. And of course, I'm referring to the Senate race. Right now, the national electorate and the Texas electorate is scarily like 2018. It looks just like 2018. We're looking at about an 8% Democratic bulge here. For those who may not remember, in 2018, the Democrats picked up 41 seats in the House. Beto O'Rourke ran for the Senate and only lost by a couple of points. How did Beto O'Rourke do in District 9? He lost by double digits in District 9. He lost. And yet the Democrat here won by 15.4 points.
Yep.
And you can't finish up discussing this district without talking about candidate quality. The Democratic candidate, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce his last name, is Taylor Rehmet, Rehmet. He is right out of central casting as to who Democrats should get to run in purple, red-leaning, and yes, even conservative districts. He's blue-collar, he's moderate, he talks very calmly, he's young, and he talks about issues that the people of his district care about. His key issues are education and especially vocational education. This guy, as I said, is right out of central casting as to who the Democrats should be recruiting to run in hostile territory. He is right out of the John Tester mold from Montana. He's an awful lot like Connor Lamb in Pennsylvania. He reminds me a lot of Jason Crow in Colorado, and obviously a man who's running again, Sherrod Brown in Ohio. The key to winning elections is to find a candidate who fits your district, not the other way around. Don't cram a candidate down a district's throat. Find somebody who is like the people in his district, and this guy fit it to a T. He is absolutely a wave of the future type of candidate. I'm very excited about him.
I just want to say this real quick. He's probably not here anymore, but Corey, the inflation was not the worst from 21 to 23. It was worse in like 1979, 1980. It was worse in the 40s. It was worse just most of the 70s. Yeah, June 2022. It was not the worst. It's not the worst it's been. And again, the problem is not that it was bad. Not really. When you consider what the inflation was in the 70s, it actually isn't that bad.
Theater geek, the gentleman's name was Taylor Raymond. He's a blue-collar worker. He's a union rep. He's the poster child of the type of person the Democrats should be recruiting in difficult districts, in red districts. You're not going to be able to run a super lefty in a red district. It's just not going to work. You've got to get somebody who thinks like their district. And that's not my opinion. That's what AOC says, too. She thinks it's morally wrong to run somebody who doesn't have ties and doesn't think like people in their own district.
And I still bought a condo with mortgages over 10%. I'm not broke now. Well, yeah. I mean, in the 70s, cost of living and pay were much closer to each other. So, yeah, that would make sense. Ugh. Was he grassroots? I think so. Now we need. Oh yeah, did y'all see the president saying that he doesn't want housing prices to go down at all?
I actually saw that he wants them to go up, and we're not gonna let people come in here and cheapen your neighborhoods and the value of your houses. And I'm just like, you do realize that by making the prices go up, you make less people be able to afford them, right? Fucking idiot.
And here's the thing. So the problem that our economy has. So we've got a US economy problem. Because pay has not gone up really, not at least not with inflation or the cost of living for a long time. And the value, because houses became a commodity and housing prices went up so much, the way the president's arguing it is wrong. Our spending is the problem. Our spending is not the problem. Our spending is a problem. It is not the problem. The problem is that we are not paying people enough. That is the problem. Frauding money did not destroy our dollar. Democrats pretending we have no debt. Nope. Democrats are not pretending we have no debt. No one is pretending we have no debt. Debt means nothing if people are starving to death. That's a reality.
Reality is also you can't keep spending more and cutting taxes, cutting the income that's supposed to come in, and expect for the debt to get any lower either.
Bill Clinton is a person in the E-Files along with a lot of other people. And they all should be. Notice I don't give a name. I don't care who's in it. Stop naming specific people as though that's a gotcha or something. Not to mention, just because he's the main one in what was released also doesn't really mean anything, because they've released maybe half of the files.
By the way, the answer to the question somebody was asking, in the first year of the Trump administration, we added $2.23 trillion to the national debt. So, yeah, nobody's pretending it's not there.
But if if housing prices go down too much, and again, I'm not arguing they shouldn't go down. I'm just saying the realities of what will happen. There will be a lot of people that will end up, their housing will be overvalued. Good people, people that just bought a house because they were able to, whose house is worth half the price. Part of the problem is houses are a commodity for a lot of people, and they buy with the expectation that it will go up in value. You have the potential of getting 2008 all over again.
If housing prices drop too much, that's exactly right. You'll have people who are underwater because their mortgage, they will owe more on their mortgage than their home is worth.
Yep. That being said, the only other way you can fix the problem is increase the pay. You have to increase people's income. So what they are making is the equivalent value. Now, do I think housing prices need to go down some? Yes. Yes, I do. I think they are overinflated. And the reason they're overinflated is, again, because housing is considered a commodity. And I think we need to fix that problem. When housing can become a commodity, when housing is something that you buy and sell for profit, that can overinflate the value. So I do think housing prices need to come down some, but I also think income needs to come up. It's a both thing when it comes to that. But the fact that he's like, no, housing prices shouldn't go down. In fact, they should go up. That's bad. And again, it goes against everything he's been arguing, which is why I also think it's hilarious. All these people, they're like, why are we even worrying about the e-files anymore? It's like, because you friggin' ran on it, dude. Spent a year saying how you were going to release them all and everyone in them was going to pay. That's large companies treating like a commodity. Most people treat it like a commodity these days. You buy a small house with the expectation that the value go up, and then you can sell it and buy a bigger house with it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing overall, but when that is the overall perspective of so many people that are buying houses, that doesn't help. It's not helping the problem. Again, we're about solutions here, not more than anything. Refusal to release the e-files properly shows his human value. I mean, let's be fair. We already knew his human values or lack thereof. There was no question on his human values or lack thereof. That was like, even if he didn't run for office, anyone in the Northeast, especially, someone told you that he was in the e-files, everyone would have gone, yup. Everyone knew who he was. There was no question who he was. The problem is not the reality that there are people like him. It's that nobody will hold him accountable, or anyone accountable. Oh, I couldn't afford my own home today, Lori. Hell no. Not possible. Rosa asked how many special elections the Dems have won so far.
Well, the way you look at it, Rosa, I can't give you an exact answer as to how many they won, because a lot of the special elections were in deep red districts and the Democrats cut the margin of victory. In about 57 to 60 now special elections since the election of 2024, the Democrats are averaging 16 points above what they got in 2024. And that is a huge number. I've never seen and I've been looking at this stuff for 50 years. I have never seen that much of a year-to-year improvement for either party. Maybe the year of Watergate would come close. That's about it.
Why are we spending $40 billion in Argentina? Why are we spending hundreds of millions of dollars to make a ballroom on next to the where the East Wing used to be, or West Wing, whichever one is down? Why are we spending tens of millions of dollars to upgrade the Kennedy Center? Like,
he wants to upgrade the Kennedy Center because nobody's buying tickets.
I understand
and
that.
He's getting embarrassed.
I understand.
My favorite is he's moving ahead with his Arc de Triomphe. Have you heard about that?
I mean, I heard about the Arc de Triomphe. I didn't heard.
Oh, yeah, he's moving, and he wants it permanent, too. None of this just for the 250th birthday. He wants it permanent. Now, get a load of this, folks. How tall is the White House? Well, the answer is 70 feet. How tall is the Lincoln Memorial? 100 feet. How tall is Trump's proposed arch? 250 feet. Now, the most famous arch in the world is the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, correct? That's only 165 feet. And I don't know how many of you people have traveled the Memorial Bridge between Washington, D.C. and Virginia. It is one of the most magnificent trips you'll ever make, because coming from Virginia, you get an unobstructed view of the Lincoln Memorial. Enough said. Coming from Washington to Virginia, you get an unobstructed view of the most sacred ground in America, Arlington National Cemetery. The Ark will block that view. He's going to block the view for a vanity piece. He's going to block the view of Arlington National Cemetery. And the bridge itself was meant to be an homage to the reunification of the North and the South during the Civil War. Well, so much for a president who knows anything about history.
I mean, is that a shocker that he doesn't know anything about history?
Exactly, Rosa. Bingo. That should be pinned.
Can't pin where there's guests in the box there, bud.
Okay. But that's exactly it, Rosa. The 5-time draft dodger who said that people who gave their lives for their country are, quote, suckers and losers. Now, when you leave and drive on the Memorial Bridge where you're supposed to see Arlington National Cemetery in front of you, that'll be blocked.
Yep.
And Chosen One, 50 million to some 50 million, I think, is a small price to pay. I think if you go in there, you do a little bit of investment and get things running in their country for them, and that way they can be proud of their country and they'll stay there and they don't want to come to the hellhole that's our country. Sometimes it costs a little bit of money to improve things, especially when we're going everywhere fucking everything up.
In the end, the only reason they're saying that is because of Minnesota and the fact of everything that
I know.
they're blaming on Somalia. Basically, it's the one 5, 10 people, however many people are involved, is the equivalent of everybody over there.
I know. I wasn't even trying to engage with that stupid part. I just wanted to make sure that they understand that putting investments in these countries that we're going in and tearing up, you want people to not have to keep coming here. Let's go ahead and fix the shit after we go in there, take all of their resources, turn their countries inside out, and then wonder why people want to come here. Sure. If we do a little bit of investments in these other countries and help these people get on their feet, get them infrastructure started so they can do their own thing, they're not like, they don't look at us and like, oh, we want to be just like them. No, they want to be able to take care of themselves.
Yep. Full time, it was a YT lady named Amy. Yep. That as well. Oh, and there was another, what was it? I saw that there was more fraud found in Texas. Oh, and by the way, I'll be making a video about this one. Pam Bondi said that that anyone that disrupts a place of worship will be prosecuted. I hope I'm waiting for the arrest warrant to go out on the woman that barged into a church in Texas, I believe, and interrupted it. Valentina, yeah. I'm waiting for that to happen. Not waiting with bated breath, but I'm waiting.
And I guess at the same time, anybody who attacks Congress and rubs fecal matter all over the walls and unalives police officers, they get pardoned.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that.
Theater Geek, we don't I don't have up people I don't know. It's nothing against you. It's a rule that we've just had to make. So if you stick around and become a part of the community, I'll be happy to bring you up in the future. We don't bring up people that haven't been here for a bit. Is she running again? I know she ran in 2024 and lost.
You know, I heard something over the weekend, and I sat and I processed it, and they were talking about whether or not Kamala was going to run again. And this black woman she said all these amazing words, and my brain just sat there and got tickled. And then I thought about it. She said, no, she's like, I don't want her to run this time. She said, because why is it that you would want a black woman to have to come in and clean up the mess behind a white man? When out the gate, we told y'all that we knew who he was. And it's just really kind of shitty to expect a black woman to have to come in and clean up that mess. And I sat there and I thought about that, and I I thought about that, and that's so true. I don't want her to run. I don't want her to have to come in and fucking clean up behind his ass. No. I think I fully am behind that now.
So ICE will be getting prosecuted too, since they've been going into churches. Everything I have said is with an understanding that hypocrisy is strong in this administration.
Yeah, I guess it's okay for ICE to go into a foreign consulate in violation of the 1963 Geneva Convention, of which we are a signatory. Is she going to prosecute them for that? Is she, Madam Attorney General?
I'm not sure Newsom would be our. I'm assuming that means best president. I'm not sure. I'm still not voting for in the primaries. I'm not going to vote for Newsom, and I will be pushing for pretty much anybody else. I have extreme issues with Newsom.
Same.
Do I think Newsom would be better than JD Vance? That's be your next president. Okay.
I think a box of Kleenex would be better than JD Vance.
Right. I think my trash would be better than JD Vance. So that's not saying much, but again, this is why the primaries are important. This is why, but he will go after them. Well, I mean, again, it depends what you're talking about. I don't want anyone to come out of the gate and be like our current administration, even if they deserve it. That's not the kind of society I want. We've got to get out of this tit for tat mentality, and we got to actually make changes. And if we vote the right kind of people in Congress and Congress does their job, then the president won't have as much power as this current administration has and won't be able to, quote unquote, go after people. I mean, I think voting day should be a national holiday, but I also think that everyone's primaries should be on the same day too. And there should be a primary day and a general election day.
Why shouldn't voting day be on a weekend? Why shouldn't voting day be a voting week?
True.
I think those are improvements that we should look into.
Yep. A paid national holiday. Well, I mean, there are people that aren't working, but yeah, I hear you. I think we should make it easy for people to vote.
I think they need to be like all these states keep trying to take away. See, like my whole thing with voting, all like one of my biggest issues with that push that I keep hearing them trying to do voting all on one day, and I'm like, when you're trying to get multiple millions of people to vote all on one day, unless the entire country is going to shut down, that would be next to impossible. Because there's people whose jobs aren't going to let them off just to go vote, and all of those things. So I definitely think they need to stop taking away all the places where you could drop stuff. I think they need to they keep taking away days for trying to cut short early voting and all of that. If they really thought their policies were that great, they wouldn't be doing that kind of stuff to cheat.
Yep. Totally agree. The question, and we already know that we already know the reality of how a lot of people look at voting and our politics, that it's a sport. There's winners and losers, and the goal is to do what you can to win. The perspective of people that are running and these political parties is not find out what the will of the people is on things and do what you can to convince them that your way is the best way. It's force people that are willing to vote for you, make it as easy as possible for the people that are willing to vote for you to vote, and make it as hard as possible for the people that don't agree with you to have their vote heard, whether it's through gerrymandering or through inability to vote in the first place.
By the way, I'd like to correct something. Somebody in comments said twice that voting on the first Tuesday after the first Monday is a requirement of the Constitution. It's a law. It is not part of the Constitution, to my knowledge. And it was a law passed in 1845.
They need to make it like claiming taxes, where you also claim your kids and have extra voting power by family size. This benefits Christian. Oh, yeah, that's what they want to do. Yeah. Yep. Yes, there's a reason that they want to have it go back to be like one family, one vote kind of a thing. Yep. Play too nice. Those days are over. I never said play nice. Never once did I say play nice. I did say I don't want to go down to the level of that they are. There's a whole wide range in between those two.
You know, Candace says it's a religious thing having it not on a weekend or a Sunday. And you might be right on that. I mean, it was passed in 1845. I don't know the reasons that they picked the date that they did for national elections, but you might be right. Might have something to do with religion.
We file taxes on our phones. Why not secure ways to vote? Yeah. Yep. And again, I understand the anger. I understand the desire to make people that have done horrible things to pay. And I want to do, I mean, accountability has been one of my main things. There are plenty of history has shown us plenty of times that when you go to the level of the people that have no moral red line, the line just keeps shifting down, and it just keeps going down, and it just keeps going down. And if we're supposed to be better than what they're doing, then we need to find a better way to do things. That does not mean just sit here and play nice. That does not mean allow ourselves and other people to just be walked all over. But that doesn't mean to go to their level. I am totally 100% for the gerrymandering that is happening in response to the gerrymandering that was started by the Republican Party. And this is from someone who wants absolutely nothing to do with gerrymandering. I think that all federal districts should be made by a completely independent commission, not state by state. Like, states shouldn't make their federal districts. I think an independent commission should make it for all states. But in this specific case, I'm okay with it. And if you look at the way both of them are doing it, they're both doing it differently. And that's one of the reasons I'm okay with it. The places that are redistricting to counter the gerrymandering that happened in Texas, are putting in endpoints, i.e., putting it in when the new census happens, that it goes back to the way it was. Hey, Allie. I totally don't mind us fighting back. I think we need to fight back. I just think there are levels of fighting back. I think there's a right way to fight back to protect, and there's a wrong way to fight back that just makes things worse. And we need to be careful of where that line is. Hey, Ambrosia. And this is all stuff that's going to take time. We may have to put in laws and regulations that keep people accountable. And there may be some people that, quote unquote, get away with things. That's just the reality of the world that has been created. And I'm no way just sitting here say, oh, well, let's just let everyone go free and start over. There still needs to be some level of accountability. But I think there are other ways to hold people accountable than just ways that people used bad laws to do things that we think are bad. I don't know. It's just hard. It's all hard. I mean, the fact is we've been sitting here for months saying that in the end, we probably need a brand new constitution to really be able to move forward. That is not an easy nor uncomplicated thing.
Especially when you've got different judges and people who deal with the law and the judicial system that interpret things differently. So it's like a case goes before a court in one state and it goes, and then they win or what have you, and then the other state they lose. It just doesn't seem like there's any kind of level sort of playing field. And when there's no base, like when it can literally just flip-flop depending, that it really shows how broken it is. It is.
Hey, Ghost. Thank you, friend.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. As we've discussed before, I think that a constitutional convention, which would be the preferred route, is it fraught? Is there a lot of peril? Is it taking one hell of a gamble? Yeah. But ask yourself if in the year 2026, Is the Constitution still working the way it should work? Is it still a viable document, or is it time to finally have a constitutional convention? And as we have discussed many times, the founders who wrote the Constitution thought and assumed and recommended that each new generation call a constitutional convention and update it. And we've never done that. And I think we're paying the price for that now.
Yep. Which is why I say it's going to be a decade, maybe two, before we really work our way fully through the problems that have been created. There are a lot of wounds that have been opened up that we as a society, as a country, need to work through. We can't, it's not as easy as just put new people in and fix all the problems. It's just not possible. Trust me, I would love it if it were possible, but it's not.
And Jennifer, I certainly share your concerns that it's fraught to do it, but I believe that we're at a point now where we should do it and run that risk. It's a close call. I hear where you're coming from. It's definitely risky, because once you call a constitutional convention, you cannot tell the attendees what they can do and what they can't do. They have complete power to write a constitution any way they want to. And I understand the risks involved in that.
I think SCOTUS should have 13 justices, just like the number of court districts. Fine by me.
The federal, yep.
Yeah, folks, there's nothing in the Constitution that says 9 justices. Congress can appoint as many as they feel like.
Hey, Mission.
Mission.
Hey,
But they need to be elected. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, I would. It's already political enough. I don't want to make it more political.
I'm not sure how it could be more political than it already is, but
if you elected justices, it would be.
Yeah.
Hey, Ash.
And more importantly, it would be for all time. I mean, right now we are in a period where the court has become too political. I agree with you. I've said it many times, but it hasn't always been that way. Once we start electing justices, it becomes politicized forever.
Yeah, I mean, here's the way that I guess my problem is when we talk about the future, when we talk about these kind of things, I try and look at it from a perspective of how I would hope that it would look like, at least my perspective of how I hope it would look like if we redid how we do things. Because it's really easy to look at everything from the lens of what's exactly happening now. And I think my perspective on how we should be doing voting as a whole should be completely different. I don't think it should be allowed to be a potentially 1, 2, 3, 4 year thing like that it is right now. I think the amount of money that people can spend should be almost non-existent. I think there should be some massive limits that allows them to go around and talk with people about what they're doing. I think there should be some restrictions on what they can and can't say about their political opponents. I think there should be a lot of things that shouldn't be allowed that are allowed now that would automatically make it less political as a whole. But I hear what you're saying. I understand why you're saying what you're saying. I'm looking at it from a perspective of from as a whole what I would change if in our current system. Hell no, I agree. I would not want Supreme Court justices to be voted on.
There's some changes that you could make that could help depoliticize or at least depoliticize the temptation for politicizing the court, which would be term limits would be one on the court, age limits. You could have term limits that are staggered so that they're appointed over different administrations. You can play games with that, and that's easily doable. You don't need a constitutional amendment. Congress could do that.
Well, I've already realized that our Congress, well,
I didn't say this Congress.
fair.
I don't think there's anything this Congress can do.
I think we definitely need to, because it frustrates me that, yes, I understand that there has been amendments to the Constitution. However, when they're doing court cases still now, they're still referencing court cases that happened in the 17 and the 1800s. And it's frustrating because like all the people, all of us were not considered citizens or people at that time. So it's still frustrating the fact that they still continue to use these court cases from hundreds of years ago to justify their decisions that they're making now. There's just so much that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I mean, the law uses that. That's English law. That's English. It's called English common law. And, that's only one factor that they use. They also use congressional statutes, things like that. And they use the common law. And the common law is in effect in 49 of the 50 states in the United States, the exception being Louisiana.
So Carla's asking if we saw what, I'm assuming you're talking about her Substack. Steve Miller is calling for a labor class, basically imported foreign labor class that can be excluded from citizenship or a voice in government.
Say that again?
Steve Miller wants to have basically an imported foreign labor class that does our work but has no path to citizenship or a voice in government at all.
Oh, gee, I guess Steve Miller found out about all the meatpacking plants that are closing down, the fact that farmers can't harvest their crops. So now he's discovering that he fucked the whole thing up. And this is how he does it, by bringing in a bunch of underpaid indentured servants. Jesus fucking Christ, this guy's a piece of work.
Sounds like slavery light to me.
Exactly. That's why
That's exactly
I said
what it is.
Servants. I didn't want to use the word slave, but yeah, it sounds an awful lot like a form of slavery to me, and an admission that they're getting hammered in the red states by having this crackdown by ICE because they're losing their labor. We talk about housing prices. How are you going to build houses if you don't have immigrant labor? How's that work? There aren't a whole lot of 18-year-old white kids hanging out waiting to get a job as a roofer.
According to Trump, there are so many that are training right now to do exactly that.
Yeah, and there's so many
electricians, plumbers, all of them.
And there's so many manufacturing jobs coming over here.
Yeah.
Except where are they?
Yep. Thank you, Patty. Yeah, it's I mean, again, I don't know how this man still has a voice anywhere. It's wild to me.
I was thinking over the weekend, it's, every presidency really goes through crisis. They always do. Trump is not different. He's in a crisis now. His approval rating is dropping like the Titanic. But they all go through crises at one point or another. I can't think of a president who never went through a crisis. What's different here? This is the only administration I've ever seen where each and every crisis is self-inflicted. The tariffs, the ever-shifting tariffs, have ruined the business climate. Greenland, need I say more? That's wrecking our foreign alliances. He's investigating everybody for crimes and then losing in court. And now this week he wants to investigate and charge the chairman of the Fed and why not former President Obama while you're at it. And what about our allies? Canada, Britain, the EU? They're not sitting around. In the last 2 weeks, they've signed major trade deals with China, South America, and India. And guess who's left on the sidelines? The United States.
And
the invasion of our cities by dim-witted, half-trained thugs. He did this himself. He has only himself to blame. The result of that, he went from plus 12 on immigration, his top issue, to negative 17. And finally, the big one, the big, beautiful bill, his glorious one piece of legislation this guy has managed to pass. And what's in that? ICE funding, cutting the ACA, cutting SNAP, and the big one that's coming up, cutting Medicaid. And it was right on the passage of the big, beautiful bill that his approval rating started to nosedive. He's done this all to himself. And this is what happens when you surround yourself with idiots, yes men, and sycophants who agree with everything that you say. He has nobody in his administration to say, you know, Mr. President, 30% of every citizen in a red state is on Medicaid. You really want to cut that to give tax cuts to billionaires? You really want to go there? He has nobody to say no. And presidents, more than anything, need somebody to say no to them, that it's a bad idea. He has nobody.
Yeah.
I watched Bridgerton. For all you Bridgerton fans out there, I watched the new season, and you know what? As I was watching Queen Charlotte and watching how she behaves, the whole thing talking about we don't have kings, it just was so blaringly obvious that this fella thinks he's like royalty. And it just reminds me of like how with her, you don't, even if she's wrong, you don't say she's wrong. You just say you apologize even if she did something wrong. You know what I mean? It was screaming at me. I could see the orange one would love to sit there with that big old crown on his head and just to be able to say whatever he wants and everybody do it. No one can take him to court. Nobody can hold him accountable. It's just crazy.
Oh yeah, Cat. Silver and gold are, I mean, gold broke 5K an ounce. I don't think people realize how bad that is.
Yeah, someone said I think our dollar is down to what is it, like 90 something, 89, 90 something cents.
I don't know. It's been
For the
going down
dollar.
pretty regularly.
It would, Eleanor.
But I guess the point being is I've never seen an administration so self-sabotage itself.
That it doubles down on the bad.
Yeah, it's nothing but self-sabotage. Their only piece of legislation is the big, beautiful bill, and it is the most unpopular legislation in the history of the country. It's unbelievable. And who gets the ACA subsidies that he's cutting? Well, the top 10 states are all red. He has done nothing since he got in. Ask the farmers how they're doing. Ask the ranchers how they're doing. The very people who put him in office are the people who are being stabbed in the back to give tax cuts to billionaires. It's amazing to me, the self-sabotage here, the sheer incompetence of it all.
By the way, I do want to mention it before I forget. I think tomorrow is the last day of early voting if you're in New Jersey 11 for the special election primary that is coming up. And election day is Thursday for the primary day is Thursday. So if you're over there, you know anyone over there, make sure they get out and vote in the primaries.
I forget her name, forgive me, the person from the UP that you interviewed in Michigan?
Oh, Callie.
The Upper Peninsula? Yeah, Kathy. Yeah, she's got a good shot in that Democratic primary.
Yep.
She's got a very good shot at that. That's one of the ones I might even say that she's a favorite. I sort of did a little bit of research into her. You know, it's a tough district, obviously. I mean, the Upper Peninsula has been Republican since Carter started his liver pills or whatever, but it's Republican, but not overwhelmingly so. Maybe R11, R12. That's about it. And so if you have a blue wave year, a Democrat could sneak in there.
Ash, I mean, you can just send them a link to one of my videos. I may change some I may add a question based on what they respond, but I pretty much ask the same questions of everyone. I'm not looking for gotchas, so I don't do anything crazy. Who are you? Why do you want to run? What are the problems in your district? What does accountability look like to you? What does America's foreign policy look like to you? I don't even ask that to everyone, especially if they don't seem like they've got a foreign policy background. Hey, Cece. Yeah, that's fine, Ash. But yeah, like I said, I don't change it very much because, again, this is really it's about visibility and name recognition, not I don't think primaries especially, but any of it should be about gotchas. It should be about people understanding what the person stands for and what they hope to do when they get into office. Accountability question might be a gotcha for some of them. I mean, it might be, except it's really, what does accountability look like to you? How do you want to be held accountable by your constituent? Like, if you're voted in, what is being held accountable look like to you? It's only a gotcha if they're running as a progressive and the way they're responding is like, I don't care about accountability. It's about getting things done. Like, that's the only reason it's a gotcha. It's not an intended gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I can't, my goal is not to gotcha them. My goal is to let them get out their stuff and talk about the things that are important to everybody based on what everyone's talking about. How do you want to get things done? What is working in a country where people don't agree on everything look like? That kind of stuff.
We can't even agree when you watch a freaking video of shit that happens right in front of your face. And to me, that's the really scary part. Because it's like, you have a video, we all see, and it's the perception and the ways people break it down. But no, she did this and he did that and shouldn't have done that. And it's just amazing. Just like how they talk about all the fraud and all the stuff. And I'm like, but you chose who you chose you selected someone who embodies everything they're talking about they're against. Make that make sense.
Most people, I think, agree on most policies, Candace. Obviously, not all policies, but most. Yes, I think.
Well, within the same party, yes.
Well, I mean, I think even cross, we don't agree on how to get there, but I think most people, whether you're on the right or left, agree that things have gotten too expensive and they can't afford to live. I think most people agree that there are problems that need to be dealt with. They definitely don't agree on who's at fault or how to get there, et cetera, et cetera. And I think
I would say the big beautiful bill shows that they don't agree on certain things. The ACA, SNAP, Medicaid, ICE funding. There are, I think within the parties, especially within the Democratic Party, the great schisms that used to exist in the Democratic Party, which is a big tent party, they're largely gone. On policy, it doesn't make a difference if you can go from moderate to Mandami, and on most of the policy issues, you find an awful lot of agreement.
Yep.
But you're quite correct. So they have different roads to get to the ultimate goal.
Correct. The problem is not that anyone thinks that there is no problem with our healthcare system. It's that one group has decided that the problem is subsidies or X, Y, and Z, and the other. And in the end, what it really comes down to is no one is actually talking about the real problem. And there's a bunch of other stuff towards it, but it's, yeah.
I'm still holding out hope that the reaction to, what I think is a coming disaster in November for one party, largely because of their own self-inflicted wounds, especially with the ACA, SNAP, and Medicaid, if that can't lead finally to a real discussion of going for national health care, Medicare for all, however you want to say it. You want a replacement for the ACA? Okay, here's one, national health care. I think it's a discussion whose time is ripe.
Well, and again, the problem is not that anyone agrees that things are okay the way they are. The problem is that there's a group of people that think it should go back to the way it was before the ACA, because all they can think about is the cost of healthcare. They don't realize, they don't notice how bad it was before the ACA existed in the first place. They don't remember. And this is what it really comes down to, I have found. Whether we're talking every regulation that exists, whether we're talking OSHA, whether we're talking labor unions, whether we're talking the ACA, there's this, whether we're talking the medical discoveries that have existed that people are against now. People don't remember what it was like in general before these things existed. They don't remember. Most of us obviously weren't around when OSHA was created, so we don't know what it was like pre-OSHA. People don't remember what it was like pre-Obamacare. Even I barely remember what it was like pre-Obamacare.
Well, I certainly remember, and it was a horror show.
I understand that. I understand the basics, but most people don't feel that. They just remember they only feel what it's been like. Like, people's memory is really weird. They, like, 5-10 years, that's as far back as most people's, like, emotional memory goes. And anything before that, they may remember it, but it doesn't hit them in the same way that it did when it was going on. Like, I remember what it was like, very nervous about the idea of getting, of pre-existing conditions and things like that. But, how many people are sitting here? It's just, they forget all of these things because they've never had to experience it themselves. And that's an issue.
Well, you talk about short-term memory. I'll go you one better. The first Trump administration. What the hell is that noise? The first Trump administration was a dumpster fire, and 4 years later, they put him back in office.
Yeah.
4 years. They forgot everything that they hated about the guy, and 4 years later, put him back in.
And that's because they could not understand or accept the fact that the horrible choices he made got us to the problems that we dealt with in the year or two after that we had to work through. That would be like everyone blaming Obama for the 2008 Great Recession. Obama was still in office while we were dealing with the ramifications of the Great Recession, but he didn't cause it. He wasn't there when it started. Some do. Well, yeah, those are the people that think that he's a bad person because he wore a tan suit. That's a whole different, that's for a completely different reason.
Yeah, that was enough for me to favor impeachment. Tan suit, get rid of him.
Hey, Clara.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, we're talking about all the different things that have been put in place: OSHA, EPA, unions, the ACA, and I agree. A lot of it is because different generations haven't had to. The New Deal is another one that was put in place. A lot of people, especially in the generations that are alive, there's a lot of haven't had to deal with the ramifications of why they were put in place to begin with. And that's why we need to really go back to our history books and learn why these were put in place to begin with and how it benefited. And and I'm not blaming millennials at all. It's just a lot of millennials have no idea how the ACA actually helped so many people and how bad the insurance companies were before, because they were young or young adults where maybe they didn't, because the ACA allowed kids, I'm putting that in quotes, to stay on their parents' insurance until they were 25. So they weren't having to worry about, after they turned 18, getting insurance themselves. Or some colleges had it available, but they didn't. Yeah, till 26, sorry. So that's where I think we're really lacking, is understanding the history and the history behind some of these things that came through the generations and why they were there to begin with is one of the things that I wanted to bring up. And then second of all, I wanted to just do my commercial for the Tube. Come join us over there. We're live over there. We have amazing conversations responding to what is being said over here. We don't know what the world of TikTok is going to be like. So come over there. You can talk like an adult. And then we also have the different podcasts that are available, long and short format, that are over there, and which are amazing. Some of these candidates are just amazing that are in the different primaries all over the United States. You've had them all over. I don't think you've gotten 50 states yet, but you've gotten so many of them. So yeah, so I mean, that was kind of what I wanted to bring up. So, and you know me, I don't stay up very long, but
I appreciate that, Claire. Yeah, and just again, for anyone that might be new here, just so you know, in 2026, I am trying to interview as many people that are progressives that are running for state or federal office. People that don't take PAC money, people that don't take corporate money, people that are trying to do things the right way, people that want to fix problems, actually fix problems that are going on. Not just keep the status quo. And already have interviewed or am interviewing about 50 people, probably more now. I haven't looked at my email. So, and that's not even counting just the other people. I'm actually interviewing someone who was detained while in the middle of their green card interview. So I'm going to talk to them about what that was like. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things going on that, and there's some other things that we're hoping to happen. So.
Well, I think I read over the weekend that they finally released the 5-year-old boy.
Yes. A judge told them that they had to release him.
Yeah. Did you read some of the words the judge had for the government?
I did. I heard some of the words. Yeah. I heard someone else reading them, but yeah, it was pretty scathing.
It's about as scathing in judge speak as you ever get. Wow. And again, self-inflicted wounds. How did they think something like that was going to play? How do you think something like that is going to play? How do you think those assassinations were going to play? You know, use your heads. How do you think that's going to play? Going back to the point I made before, I've followed politics a long time, never seen an administration day after day, week after week, create their own problems, literally self-sabotage themselves over and over again. And they wonder why they're where they are.
Fulton County looks like it's suing the FBI seizure of the election records.
Yep.
They should. And by the way, what was Tulsi Gabbard doing there? What was she even doing there? She's the director of national intelligence. What in God's name, what role did she possibly have in that? Why was she even allowed there?
Yep. I mean, again,
look, it's all to salve a man's delusions.
Yeah.
That's the only reason for this. Look, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. How do I put this in medical terms? Oh, I've got the right phrase. He's fucking nuts. We have a president of the United States who is not sane. But let's give him the nuclear codes. There's a great idea.
Yeah. Does Tulsi? No, she does not still consider herself a Democrat. She left the Democratic Party a while ago.
You know, it's crazy. The very first time I remember seeing Tulsi, I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
okay. And I even loved her little like gray streak in her hair. It kind of reminded me of like Storm from X-Men. I don't know why, but it did. And I was like, okay, I like what she's saying. And then she just like, whew.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I supported her run for president. I liked her. Yeah, I would have voted for her in the primaries if she had made it to our primary before jumping out.
Well, aren't you crazy? You want to know who my big regret is? That scumbag John Edwards. I supported him. Remember him?
Yep.
He looked like the next big thing to me. I mean, he was my JFK, and boy, was I wrong about that.
Yep. Absolutely. Better and perfect. And again, here's the reality. I mean, Fetterman obviously changed after his stroke. Not saying that he wasn't that way beforehand, but he definitely changed as well. In the grand scheme of things, there is no 100% guarantee on anyone you vote for or anyone that runs for office is going to be exactly as they say. We can only do our best. We can only research as best as we can. But sometimes we will get it wrong. The problem right now is most of the country doesn't research at all. So it's really easy to get people that aren't who they say they are through.
I think for me, that is, like, while I understood people talking about like purity politics and stuff, that's why that fella in Maine, I'm sorry, but do we expect people of color to trust people who get YT, like, regardless? You shouldn't put stuff on your body if you don't know what it is. You choose what goes on your body. And I'm sorry, I just could never trust that person is not going to turn into somebody like that. And I think I think it's really concerning sometimes. I think sometimes we want so badly to see the good in people that we don't see the little red flags. Even if they're little teeny tiny red flags, we sometimes overlook them with our rose colored glasses. And I think we should stop doing that.
It's an issue of accountability. All too often, people on our side of the aisle who scream about accountability don't want to hold people accountable if we happen to like their views. And the person in Maine, Graham Plattner, who you're talking about, fits that bill specifically.
Mhm.
It's not just the Yahtzee tattoo that he claims he didn't know what it meant. If you read his campaign biography, he says only one thing is his claim to fame, that he's a military historian. That's what he claims as his claim to fame. If you've seen one movie in your life about the Yahtzees, if you've read one book, if you've seen one television show, you know exactly what the death's head symbol is, the symbol of the SS. You know exactly what that is. And that's not the only lies he told. And I'm very disappointed when people on our side of the aisle refuse to hold our own accountable. And I'll tell you what, people mentioning Fetterman here, you elect this guy, he's John Fetterman round 2. Mark my words.
Yeah. And especially if you claim to be the kind of knowledge that you have in that subject, you should know those kind of things, especially if you're claiming to be somebody who's well in-depth trained and knowledgeable about that. And I think it's insane for people, like, how do you think like a person of color would ever see somebody get any kind of tattoo like that and assume that they didn't know what it meant? And how would we ever think that they were ever truly going to represent us?
Kia, the point with him is that's the cherry on top of the sundae. The guy is told one lie after another, and when he's caught, he tries to lie himself out of getting caught in the lie. He changes time frames. He moves everything, and then when he's caught, he says, "Well, I was undergoing a rough time there, and I'm sorry I said that." Well, that's not good enough.
And my thing is this: I'm not saying that I expect every candidate to have a squeaky clean pass. Shit, I don't have a squeaky clean pass. But the thing about it is to be upfront and outright and be honest with it all from the jump. Don't wait until somebody, because especially in 2025, that, like, in this day and age period, people have access to the internet. Literally, you have the power, you have access to the world in your fingertips. And there's no reason to think that for some reason something that you posted, you said or did is not going to come up. If you know you said or did something, put it all out there and then give people the opportunity to try to believe you. I didn't even know that much about him, Scott. I didn't know that he kept having those kind of issues and getting caught up in the lies. I'm just like at when we first had that very first conversation, and I was like, no, just no. Like, I think that's the other thing. We have to take our rose-colored glasses off and stop being so quick to give people on our side the benefit of the doubt when it comes to horrible shit like that.
Well, ask ourselves this, Kalia. Kia. I was about to call you Kalia. That's a nice name too, but Kia's an
It
even
is.
better name. It is. It's a nice name, but Kia's a better name. You know, look, it's ask ourselves one question. If he had an R by his name, we would be savaging him. We would be absolutely savaging him if he had an R by his name.
Mhm.
So why do we let him off the hook because he has a D by his name? That's not right. And that's not the way to build credibility for the long term in your political party, in my opinion.
True. Yeah. It doesn't help that people are scared. And again, in absolutely no way am I trying to defend or justify. I 100% agree that we need to start holding people accountable. And especially when not that they are not perfect, but when they specifically, when it shows they've been hiding things, and actively hiding things. I think there's a lot of people that are just so scared. And again, it shows the problem of fear. It shows the danger that we have with fear. Fear has this crazy ability to blind people from of certain things that they should see, because right now people are so what, Riley? Most people don't have stocks. Fear is blinding people of some realities because they are so afraid of, the other side, the other option. And that's happening on both sides. I mean, we already know that a lot of people on the right voted, or even in the center voted on no, economy is not great for those who work. Riley, that's the point. Anyways, a lot of people on the right or center right voted for this administration because he convinced them that they should be afraid of immigrants, that they should be afraid of a lot of things. And it's the danger of fear and this idea that it just shows how frightening it is that your brain can convince you he is doing the worst job of any administration ever. Ferp. There is no worse president to ever hold office than this one.
And that cheers up James Buchanan. He's happy not to be dead last anymore.
Yep.
You're quite right, Mike. Fear is unfortunately a stronger motivator many times than love. And in terms of accountability, I think it's very important for a party to hold its own accountable. We always talk about, man, we're going to win the midterms. This will be the beginning of the end of MAGA, blah, blah, blah. You want to know what's going to end MAGA? There's only one party that can end MAGA, and that's the Republican Party. Until they put the hammer down on MAGA, it will continue. It will take the Republicans. Now, they're going to have to do it out of fear of all losing their jobs, but it will take the Republicans to get rid of this stain on our country.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I absolutely 150,000% agree. And to me, I think it's just, how do I say this in a TikTok friendly way? They did the same thing with the thing for me. I think I get frustrated about this quote unquote fear is that it always seems to be the same kind of fear that whitey people seem to fall for. It was the indigenous people, it was the black people, now it's the immigrants. And it just gets really, I really get sick and fucking tired of trying to, in my brain, this whole history repeating itself and this quote unquote fear. To me, it's just a whole bunch of bullshit. I think it's just literally a bunch of bullshit. I don't even know how to expound upon it anymore. I'm so frustrated because my brain, I feel like I have so much to say and I just don't feel like I can articulate myself in the right way. But that shit just irks my goddamn soul, how this fear always tends to be tied to the color of somebody else's fucking skin. That shit is fucking ridiculous. And to sit here and say that it's still that fear, like, this is when I say, when people say that racism does not exist in America, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about. And it is just ridiculous. Let's just call it for what it is. They play on that racism, that play on that, oh, we're going to have other people of other cultures, backgrounds, races, ethnicities, nationalities here, and that's going to make you white people not be as important. Let's just call it for what it is. That's literally what it is. They constantly go after the fear of no longer being the people that are always going to be in control. That's what it is.
It is fear of the other has been around for a long time. And one of the prime motivators of fear of the other is an inability to explain your own inadequacies. Therefore, you take it out on the other. Therefore, you are giving yourself a free ride for your own failures, your own disappointments, the own sadness that you feel about your own life.
If everything that is bad that is happening to you or that you see as bad going on is someone else's fault, then you have the capability of ignoring and justifying everything that you have done wrong in, or your people or your whatever has done wrong over the years. And the fact is we did this country, forget the world. The world has unfortunately been doing this for forever. But this country did it also to Italian immigrants and Irish immigrants. Like, this country is literally built on the back of doing this, of othering other people groups.
Yeah, it covers a lot of different races, a lot of different ethnic backgrounds. And I think it always comes down to the same thing. You're letting yourself off the hook for your own inadequacies by blaming the other.
And the hardest thing to do is to convince someone that it's okay to that. I don't know if it's also this, again, this idea that we have to be the better people, but and I can't sit here and tell someone how they get over it, because I'm sure everybody deals with it a different way. But like, I had to be willing and accept the idea of sitting in that pain. And that's the hard part. It's not getting them to understand that there even is a problem. It's sitting with the pain of realization that they are a part of it, and having to get past, like, to work their way through that. And most people don't want to do it. And it's again not justifying it. It's I don't know how we fix that problem. And we may not be able to fully fix that problem. It may be just a time thing where certain groups of people will just no longer have to be here anymore. I can't guarantee that's going to fix it fully, but that may also be a reality, because trying to convince tens of millions of people to sit in their pain and deconstruction, I don't know if you can fully convince that without something massive happening to just shock them out. And I don't think we want something that is that massive to shock them out, because chances are that means a lot of people are going to be suffering in some way, shape, or form. That doesn't mean it won't be exactly what needs to happen, but
And that's so damn sad. It's so sad. It's sad and gross, and like so many levels. There's times where I wish that I had more access to a vocabulary to really just, because sometimes all I can say is this shit fucking is just sad and gross, and just so many micro levels, and just it's just so damn gross. Because for me, like when I think about immigrants coming, I think about, imagine how bad it must have been for them to up and leave everything they've ever known, especially for those that are in bad situations where they live, and move to a country where they don't speak the language,
Mm-hmm.
trying to do better for their life. And why would you just up and take your kids and whatever you could carry and leave the rest of your stuff home? I don't think, like, people have like no empathy to be able to even try to put themselves in someone else's shoes. When I sat there and I listened to this young man, his name is Crispin, we call him Chris, listen to his story about how his family got here and how they swam through water and did all the things because the gangs were coming after all the boys, kept kidnapping kids, like out of people's homes, out of schools. They were like kidnapping these kids, and their parents were like terrified. And they left because they didn't want all their kids to end up in the middle of all that stuff. And they came here, and like listening to him, I mean, that young man cried as he talked about some of the things that they went through. And it just infuriates me to sit here and listen to people think that because you were born in the US, which you have no control over who you're born to, where you're born at, the color of your skin, anything about you, you have no control over any of that shit. And it's just wild to me to hear these people, especially these whitey men, sit here on these lives. And it just makes me think, if you can sit here and talk like this in front of all these people, what do you talk like around people that you're comfortable with?
Oh,
And it just makes you wonder, like, like, I'm American. So what? Yay for you. Your parents, your mother had you in the United States. Good. Like, it's just gross and sad on so many levels.
yep.
Would be nice if they actually understood what being an American is, but they don't.
It's and it definitely doesn't help when you have a bunch of other people that look like me in in positions of power, whether it's government or just authority, telling them exactly what they want to hear. It's not your fault. You aren't, the problem is everybody else. You aren't this way. You shouldn't be blamed for X, Y, and Z. And it causes them to have to be able to completely ignore everything that they need to go through in order to come out on the other side.
What do you think the attraction of the hardcore magas is? That's exactly what it is. It's not your fault. It's somebody else's.
Yep.
You have no, pardon me. You have no blame is attached to you for the wreckage of your life. That's not your fault. It's the other. That is at its core the essence of the entire MAGA movement.
Yep. And again, we are in many ways, this country is better at it, in a bad way, than a lot of other places. Unfortunately, this is a reality worldwide. At least at certain points in history. Again, some are better at it now, but
shit, Mike, it's what history is.
Yeah.
It's literally what history is.
Yep. All the wars, it's always someone else's fault.
Living space. Yeah, it wasn't just Germany that thought that way.
Where did my hippie that raised me go? Yeah. And again, it shows what happens when which is why there's that idea. So there's this idea that, that you see a lot of older people say that you will get more conservative as you get older. And in many ways, that was true. It's not for the younger generations. And the reason it's not, so the reason you saw people get more conservative, and if you listen to them, you'll hear exactly why. It's because of their privilege, because of the time they grew up, they have things. Whether it's investments or a house or a job that pays really, really well. And they're afraid of losing it. The reason you see a lot of younger people, quote unquote, I think there are multiple reasons. I think the internet has helped a lot in it too. But one of the reasons you are seeing less and less younger people going right and going even farther left is because on the complete opposite side, millennials, Gen Z, they don't have anything, and they don't see a future where they will have anything. So there's what are they protecting? Their college debt that will never get paid off. Them living in their parents' house that will probably be gone once their parents retire because there may not be Social Security anymore. Like, what are they trying to hold on to? And that's the part that people, and the other problem comes is that, and again, I know it's not everybody. I understand that. I'm saying you look at a lot of the people that it has happened to. A lot of those people think that it was something that they did to get there. A lot of those boomers and Gen X think that they did something. It was 100% because they worked hard. There was no other part of society that helped make that possible. It was all them. I'm not saying those people didn't work hard. Not saying they didn't earn what they got. But what they lost sight on is not only that the change is in society, but that they're unwilling to look at society as a whole back then compared to now and see where they had privileges, where they had a leg up in a way that people don't anymore. They're unwilling to see that things are different now than they were.
Are you
I'm done.
okay? I have to say one of the few good things I've seen out of this, like, my daddy, he's a vet. He was in the Army for 22 years. And he used to have that kind of thought process where it was all about hard work. And, kids are just lazy and just all that. And, was very much into, my youngest two sons both have dreads. And he was like almost like forcefully wanting to tell them, you need to cut your hair off. You need to cut your hair off. No one's going to take you seriously with your hair looking like that. You need to go get in the service and all this stuff. Y'all need to work hard. And as through this administration and all the things, all the conversations, all the stuff he's been listening to, we had a conversation a couple months ago, and he finally is getting it. Like, it's not like when he was 17 or 18, where you could go out and get a little piece of job, as my stepmom used to say, and you could afford to get you a little apartment. It might not be huge. You might not, you know what I mean? But you could get you a couple bedroom apartment or whatever. You could even get you a small house. And you would be okay. And it's not like that anymore, because like I explained that to my dad. We had a conversation years ago, and I kept trying to tell him it's different. It's different. And he's finally gotten now that it is different.
Yeah. And I'm still waiting as I, look at data for somebody to explain to me the love affair that Gen X has with Trump. I mean, that's where all his support comes from. And I just don't get it. The boomers are about evenly split. I think they went by a point for Harris, but 50-50. But Jesus, Gen X was a landslide.
If I were to guess, we're this idea that we're supposed to be heading into the quote unquote better part of our years, and like our parents did at this age, and again, they're afraid of losing that. They're afraid of it's again, it still comes down to freaking fear. And and again, not this Gen Xer, Summer. So obviously it's not all Gen Xers, but we're talking about the ones that supported.
Yeah, that's about as good an explanation as I've heard, because I sure as hell can't figure it out. I mean, boomers, I understand. They've been greedy fucks, and I'm a boomer. They've been greedy fucks our whole lives. But Gen X, I don't get it. Boomers are split down the middle, but Gen X was plus 12, plus 12 for Trump.
Scott, you want to do the ad?
Why, sure I will. Okay, folks, we'll spend just a little bit of a time. You already know what I'm talking about with that little orange heart. So tap on that orange heart, folks, right next to Mike's name. Why? Because a big old box is going to drop down. You will see 6 small rectangular boxes. Some will be blank. Don't have to bother with those. However, the ones that are shaded in black, please give them a tap. That way, your content creator and host, Mike, gets points. And you know what I'm going to say. You get the same amount of points. Where are you going to find a deal like that? Now let's get on to the real subject, the tube. That's the one we've been talking a lot about. There's a couple of reasons to go over there. First and foremost, the content. Mike's already talked about it. You don't need me to add on to it, other than to say that they are very interesting conversations with very interesting people. Lately, of course, because we're heading into the midterms, it's been focused on politics. But even if you're not looking for a political thing to watch, guess what? There's plenty of other good content there that talks about a lot of different subjects. Give it a try. You'll like it. The other reason is really for us. TikTok has changed ownership. There has already been deplatforming of people who are center and left of center on TikTok. We know about that. We can't predict the future, but we know who owns TikTok now. They're led by a man named Ellison, who's in with Trump, and everybody else who owns a piece of it is also far right. So do the math. I'm not saying anything will happen, but we have to be prepared. That's why it's incumbent that if you enjoy this community, if you enjoy the content that your creator, Mike, puts out, that you at least become familiar and start spending a little bit more time on the tube. Why? Because it's in your interest to. I'm not asking you to do any favors for anybody but yourself. It's in your interest to, because we could be gone tomorrow, we could be gone next week, or we could be here forever. We don't know. So at least prepare yourself. So you go there for the content, but you're also going there for the education of learning how to navigate it, learning how to interact with the community. Spend a few minutes during these lives over there. If you're a creature of habit, like I am, because I'm an old man, I'm a creature of habit. But even I'm spending some time over there. I'm trying to get a little bit better with it. So do yourself a favor and spend some more time on the tube.
Just so everyone I mentioned it before, but I do want to mention again. So for the 2026, I'm trying to interview as many people as possible progressives who are running for office. Obviously, I want to keep doing this. I want to do this as a career. I like doing this. I think it's something, yeah, I love the community we created. I love the conversations we have, and I think it's necessary stuff. I can only do that with y'all's support. And I know not everyone can afford, especially in this economy, to give financially, and that's fine. That's 100% fine. What you can do is watch and share, and engage, especially with the content over on the tube. These people that I'm interviewing aren't taking PAC money. They want to go against the status quo. They want real change. They want to be held accountable, and they're not, because they're not getting the kind of money that some of these other people are getting. Name recognition and visibility are more important than ever. So one of the things you can do is go and watch those interviews with those candidates all the way through and interact with them. That will get the algorithm to push them out to more people. That's one of the easiest things that we can do to help fix this problem, or at least get us on the direction of fixing this problem. And again, it doesn't even have to be my stuff. I appreciate if it was my stuff, because that helps me be able to keep doing this. But more than anything, go watch. If you see a candidate you like, watch, even if they're not in your state or district that stands for these things. Watch their stuff all the way through. Share it. Interact with it. It helps them. It helps them more than you possibly can know. Because the only way that we're going to get through this is if we stop letting these PACs decide who we love or who we want to who we vote for. We don't need PACs and commercials to tell us who to vote for. We need to figure out who we're voting for. So yeah. I'm going to jump off. I've got many interviews today. So thank you for the likes, the shares, and the gifts. I appreciate you all. Scott and Kia, I always love having you up here. We've been having some really great conversations lately, and it's really been nice to see. Yeah.
I agree. Thanks for letting us come up here and talk with you.
Always.
Appreciate it.
So again, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. You guys, name on the tube, same name, same image. Tom. Yep. Same everything. You guys are amazing just the way you are. I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy. Enjoy the snow if you got it. Sorry, Kia. Talk to you later. Bye.
Shut up, I got snow. I did get some snow. I got 6 inches.
There you go. Good. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, YouTube. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.